Hey collectors, welcome to Star Wars Collected. I'm Jonathan. If you're new here, I hope you consider sticking around and subscribing. But if you've been here before, I want you to target that like button like you're staying on target, because what I have for you guys today are 5 helmets from the original trilogy and Mandalorian era. We're gonna check them out and see what you guys think. All right, collectors, if you watched my last video, we did 6 helmets in the prequel area. Believe it or not, I've actually gotten 3 new helmets from that era already. But what I promised you in that video was that we were gonna look at some stuff that is more in the original trilogy era, as well as a little bit of stuff after that. And we're gonna start right here. This one is really rare. At least I've never even seen it before. I didn't even know it was a thing, which I feel like I know my Star Wars helmets pretty well, but we'll spin it around. You guys have any guesses firsthand? Does this look at all familiar to you guys? I really was not familiar with this. This is the Imperial mechanical helmet, and apparently there's a Rebellion version of this too, basically identical with white. And this shows up in like way background of the original trilogy, and it's sort of like used by the crew that was servicing different things around the hangar bays, I think especially. But it's just something that I saw pop up on eBay, and I was like, what is this thing? Is someone trying to like con people into buying this? Is this even a real thing? But I looked it up and it is totally a real thing. So this piece right here is made with plastic. It does have a little chin strap inside, and they've added some cushioning in there as well. And then on the side here, this is gonna look pretty familiar. So this is kind of like a little side module. You'll find this on some of the other helmets that are out there, both Rebel and Imperial helmets. And then on the front here, we've got a little cog, which has been very well cut to hide the sticker on there pretty well. Flat stickers on a round material is always really difficult, and sometimes it's really hard to hide those little details. Yeah, I've never even noticed this one in the original trilogy. And for some people that would be like a turn off, like who cares, why would you want this? But I love the like little weird Easter egg stuff, the things that are like way off in the background, the characters that have like random names. So this was kind of a cool thing to see pop up. And there is a Rebel version of this that I think as of right now is still available on eBay. I didn't pull the trigger on that one, so if you want that one, maybe go check it out. Next on the table here is this one. Now, don't get cocky, kid. I'm sure you're looking at it and you're like, I know exactly what that is. I'm sure you're thinking TIE Pilot helmet, right? But there's some variations of TIE Pilot helmets. In fact, I've got a variation of a TIE Pilot helmet right here. So I've actually got one down at the bottom too. I actually really like TIE Pilot helmets. And I've been kind of like trying to find the most perfect one for a long time. And I think I have probably 4 or 5 of them, and maybe someday I'll be convinced that this is the definitive one. But this is a pretty cool one. So without further ado, bam. So I got really excited when I found this one. So this is a paint job from Squadrons. I believe it's the paint job from the trailer for Squadrons, but I think this is so cool. You know, in the original trilogy, we see some very plain TIE Pilot helmets, and then we saw some that had like a little bit of striping. We saw some with some Arabesh up here. And then we saw ones with what they call tiers, which are those like gray stripes coming down, which is really cool. And I just love, especially since the Clone Wars, that they really leaned into like people customizing their helmets and their costumes. It reminds me of like Top Gun or something like that. So I think this is really cool. I've been looking to do something like this for a long time on my own. That's why I've bought some extra TIE Pilot helmets along the way. But when this guy popped up for like next to nothing, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I was almost convinced that it's going to have to be one of those kind of not so great helmets, from a company that maybe is making out of PVC or something, but it has like a lot of great details. It is very lightweight, which can be a con for some people, but it has the rubber going around here, which is a really nice finishing touch that you'll find on a lot of really cool helmets. It has these pieces here, which are metal. So you have a metal piece here, metal piece here. This part right here, this is like a tubing coming out instead of just being molded in. You can actually like literally see light through it, which is interesting. And you've got the metal cogs on the side here, and you got the pillbox on the back, which is actually a functional moving box. So I'm kind of wondering, I think it's probably made with a kit, because there is like a little seam line here, but it's just like really well done. And I'm just kind of surprised, quite honestly. And they've done a good job of putting like the little netting in there. It is sort of just duct taped in, but you wouldn't really notice it. Really impressed, really surprised, especially because this was kind of a bargain. It even has the right, I think these are automotive pieces up here that have been pushed in. But sometimes you just get lucky and you find some really cool helmets. So I was really excited to see this. I not only want this one, but there is one from that Star Wars Resistance show of a guy that kind of has like a white skull pasted on his. And I think that's a really cool version to it I'd like to add to my collection. Okay, we have one more piece in the original trilogy before we move into the Mandalorian era, and this is obviously a brown box. So what it actually is, guys, is this is the EFX Stormtrooper helmet. This is the one from The Empire Strikes Back. So when I first started collecting helmets, my very first helmet that I ever bought was the Incinerator Trooper by EFX. Now, this is not everyone's favorite mold. It does have kind of a weird seam line. It's also very symmetrical. I think if you're looking for like the definitive Stormtrooper helmet, most people would point you at like RS Prop Masters to get that. I actually really like the one that I have from Anovos or De Novo. I think that they do a pretty good one for something which is relatively easy to find and get a hold of. But what I've been interested about for years is it wasn't honestly until all that recently that I kind of really saw and understood the differences between the A New Hope version and the Empire Strikes Back version and the Return of the Jedi version of the Stormtrooper helmet. It's so subtle, and I'm sure everyone's kind of got their own interpretation on like what really qualifies, but I was always intrigued that I had the A New Hope version and found those relatively easily, relatively inexpensively. I know I've picked up at least one, if not two of my three for like $100. They often are more around $200 or something like that. But when I saw this pop up, I was like, okay, well, here's my time, here's my opportunity to figure out what is all that different about it. So we've got some stickers in here, certificate of authenticity, some EFX stickers, which I don't really recall getting in my previous ones. EFX is a really interesting company. I'm forgetting the gentleman's name now who kind of founded it and unfortunately passed away not too long after a Star Wars Celebration. It was really kind of weird because I remember seeing him in person multiple times throughout that weekend, and then, you know, not that long after, and he was gone. But EFX has got a kind of a weird reputation in that they've kind of shot for the stars a couple times, and sometimes they deliver stuff super quickly and easily. Other times they have really left people waiting for a long time to deliver something. Yeah, so there's definitely some things out there that people have ordered that have still not been delivered. So this is the Empire Strikes Back version, and what we're gonna do real quick is take a peek at it. So what I'm seeing right off the bat is this one is pre-owned, so I do have like a little markup here, which is a little unfortunate. And people's big issue with this one tends to be this seam line that goes right here, not this one back here, but this right here going across. It's hidden pretty well when you come up here, but it does become a little bit more visible as you get down in this area. There's also a super subtle one that goes right here and connects up here, kind of travels around, and sort of gets tucked up into there. There are some cutouts too around these side pieces in here. So there are a few places here and there that I totally understand the criticism, and I have been on record as I am not a fan at all of the Black Series Stormtrooper helmet. So if I had to choose between one or the other, I would choose this one. I think the Black Series one, the proportions look off to me. It looks far too small to me as well, and has the hideous battery panel piece on the back here. So if I was choosing between an EFX one and a Black Series one, I would choose EFX all day long. What I'm gonna do real quick here is grab the A New Hope version and we'll compare the two. Okay, here we are side by side, this being the Empire Strikes Back version, this being the A New Hope version. Not a lot of differences. I know the key difference to look for here, and that is evident. The lines here on the teeth, basically, as I think they're referred to as, they are black on the Empire Strikes Back version, and they are gray on the A New Hope version. That differentiator is also what you see in Return of the Jedi, where this whole area kind of ends up getting painted black and looks quite a bit different, but overall very similar. The only other thing that I'm seeing here right off the bat is the side pieces here have a little bit of paint on them. And on this one, you have a single stripe on the left, and right here you have two stripes on the left. And then if we turn this around, once again, on the A New Hope version, you have a single little black stripe on this gray piece, where here you have three stripes on that one, 1, 2, 3 in the back. Symmetrical from side to side on this one, both having a single line on the back piece. On this one, they chose different lines, 2 in the middle on this one, the 3 that are most aft on this one. Otherwise, I'm seeing basically the same thing. And if I were to display these two things next to one another and have a plaque in front of them saying this is a New Hope version, this is the Empire Strikes Back version, everyone who isn't like super nerdy is gonna think I put the same helmet up twice, and they're gonna think I'm really weird. But you guys totally get it and understand it, and that's why I love making these videos and connecting with you guys. Otherwise, I'm not seeing any other differences, but if you happen to see them, hop down in the comments and let me know, because I'd love to see if there's anything else between these two that's a little bit different that I can discover. If you're an avid Star Wars Collected viewer, first of all, thank you, but you're also gonna recognize this helmet right here. This is Phoenix Shan's helmet. This is made by a company that I was calling X-Kozer, but I've now learned it's called X-Kozer. It is a takeoff of cosplay, and they make these helmets, and I think in general they don't make particularly good helmets. You can see my full thoughts in that video, but I thought this was actually a pretty good representation. It probably is still slightly too small, but for going on to a petite woman, I think it works pretty well. I think they did a good job with the color overall, and all the little details are there. And one odd thing about it is that this little visor inside this little tinted piece actually shouldn't be there. It looks good, it was well installed, but in the show you can see her eyes when she's, you know, doing her badassery. And one small gripe that I have about them in general too is they do tend to put their logo stamped on the back here. It is made out of some kind of hard material, so that is nice. It is cast in some way. You can see my full thoughts in that video about that company and their quality, but I think overall this is a pretty decent helmet and I'm happy to have it on my shelf. And last but certainly not least, I don't know if this is my favorite one because I really do like that TIE Fighter pilot helmet, but I think this might have to take the cake on it. What do you guys think it is? It could be a couple different ones, but you might have already guessed it. This is Koska Reeves' helmet. Now, this has got some really cool history behind it. I share my videos a lot on Facebook. That may be how you found me. And it's because I belong to a lot of really cool groups on Facebook, and that's kind of how I use Facebook anymore, is just connect with Star Wars people. And this is an exclusive build for a group called the Hyperdrive, one of my favorite groups on Facebook about Star Wars. Just a really solid community. Here's a photo of us at Star Wars Celebration in London. Just a really good group of people. Had a really fun time hanging out with a couple of these guys and getting to know each other, and we've connected on Facebook since then. So there's a real camaraderie and kind of brotherhood going on there in that. It's a very positive group. So make sure you check out the Hyperdrive if you're interested in a very kind of positive collecting community about kind of, you know, higher end stuff without the snootiness of it. So definitely check out the Hyperdrive, big Hyperdrive endorsement. So they actually contact makers out there and say like, hey, I represent this group. We would be super interested in maybe partnering with you to create XYZ. And they will find these fantastic makers to make these limited run things. So one of which was this helmet, this Koska Reeves helmet. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I'm a little bit more of a bargain guy. I've got a huge collection, but I try to get all my stuff at like a lower price, a kind of a really good deal. I enjoy the hunt aspect of it. So while there's been a lot of really high quality stuff that's been made through the Hyperdrive, it tends to slot a little bit above where I'm looking to make an investment in a single piece, but sometimes you get really lucky. So I found this kicking around on eBay. So I was excited to see this pop up, not only just as a Koska Reeves helmet, but to be the one from the Hyperdrive, because it's really good quality stuff that they do. So you can see here, we've got some really nice weathering. This is that three-dimensional technique that I've mentioned in the past, where they've put down some sort of layer. Sometimes it's glue, just some sort of residue that they can put down, and they paint over it and then they peel it back up. Sometimes it's like silicone, things like that. There's a couple different ways you can do it, but you actually get this three-dimensional pattern to it, which is really, really cool. Really nice details throughout. There's actually some metal in here. This piece right here is metal. There's a little bit of detail even on the back of this rangefinder. There's kind of like a little mock fake screen there, and this goes up and down very nicely. If we flip it up here, you can see the inside of it. It's been nicely wrapped. And this is from a maker that says GEC Props, and then it says Ison Corridor Design. So a collaboration there between a couple makers to make a lot of people's dreams come true. It is a good looking helmet. I really love the color. The color is vivid. I'm really excited to have this with my Bo-Katan helmet and my Axe Woves helmet together, which is a really cool combination. And this must be something that the maker did too. So there is this cool card on the inside of it. I don't know if this is like original marker on there, but it was definitely done in marker, kind of a cool negative space silhouette type thing. And then this was kind of unexpected. I guess I should have known this because this was part of the original thing, but so it says the Mandalorian, it says Koska Reeves helmet, and it says Mercedes Verando, and signature edition 28 of 35, and that is her initials. You know, it would have been maybe nice for her to do a full-on signature, but I guess if you're busy, you just get the two initials. But so this is the signature edition 28 of 35, and it says GEC Props here, and then this is the logo for the Hyperdrive. So that is that Facebook group that I love so much. So really cool. Wasn't expecting that, and it's got the Mandalorian logo at the top, and here's a little plaque stand, so you can party these two together like this, and you know, a little bit of adhesive, and display your helmet with that little plaque right next to it and feel extra, extra special. All right, collectors, well, there you have it. This is my helmet haul of original trilogy and Mandalorian pieces. Really love this TIE Pilot helmet. I think it's so cool. And I think this Coscardes one was just sort of like an amazing opportunity, amazing deal that I found. Also cool to just like straight up just discover a new helmet, which is nice. So guys, hop down in the comments. Let me know which one of these helmets would you want to add to your collection. If you could just pick one and I was going to give it to you. Let me know down in the comments which one you would take home. If you like helmets, if you like things like this, if you like one-to-one scale props, if you like hot toys, if you like sideshow premium format stuff, this is the place to be. Make sure you subscribe. We're putting out videos as often as we can. And like I said, I've already got 3 new prequel helmets. I'm looking at them right now, 2 of which are super cool, 1 of which is just like amazing. And I've actually got some Denuo Novo helmets down here that I want to unbox as well with you guys. So make sure you stay tuned. If you like Star Wars, you like helmets, we got it right here. If you're not already, make sure you follow me on Instagram. It's a place where you and I can interact a little bit more directly. I try to put up memes and good deals when I find good deals on there, anytime someone's running a sale, and just sort of connect with you guys that way. But otherwise, guys, I'll see you on the next one, all right? See ya.